Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I am the worst daughter of all, and today's topic is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be talking about my own experiences, but I'm also kind of opening this up as well because it can be so different depending upon the person and what the abuse pattern is and what the insecurities are of the personality disordered guardian may be. So, the topic is on identity, and it's identity that you own and that is inherent in you from the time that you are born, and that's you yourself, the person that you are meant to be, versus the identity that the personality disordered guardian expects, the expectation that they have of you. So, what I mean is, I think that any parent has expectations for their child's life. Some may be specific, like taking over the family business or something like that, or becoming a dentist if you're from a long line of dentists, or, it may just be general, where you want your child to have, a successful, happy, healthy life with the least amount of struggle. And that's normal and healthy. There may be other things as well, depending upon your culture, your values, your religion, or all of the above, or none of the above. But the difference between a healthy parent and their expectations of their children and a narcissistic parent and their expectations of their children, I believe, are very different. And things that would be considered normal and healthy are turned upside down. So whereas a normal, healthy parent, like I said, generally would want their child to be happy and healthy, a personality disordered parent does not see their child as another human being. They see them either as an extension of themselves, which is most of the time the case, or they see them as an enemy that they're very jealous and competitive with. Now, sometimes this can overlap and crisscross. It just depends on the situation, which is, again, why I said that this is something that is very personalized to everyone's situation. Everyone's situation is going to be different. But I can say that I believe the majority of these personality disordered guardians, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, step-parents, whomever, tend to be this way because they are very jealous of the child. They cannot understand why the child gets attention simply for being, and they have to do all this work just to get just a fraction of that. So it's easy to understand why they would feel this way. Why it doesn't matter if it's a small child, even an infant, or even a pet, that they will feel jealous and that they will feel the need to control. And that is where you will see in custody battles and things like that, the narcissistic, or I'll just say malignant personality disordered parent or guardian trying to get full custody to not only hurt the other parent, but to have the control over that child, to be able to manipulate and control them and try to change them, and to ultimately give them take away any attention that they may get by isolating them. And it's really terrible. My own experience is a little bit complicated, but I'd have to start off with the type of person that my narcissistic father is. And he is a commercial artist. He does art for a company that he runs, and the company just consists of my mother and him. Their business is one that doesn't really need more employees. And if you've listened to any of my other videos or recordings, you'll know that my father is basically just now holding up a marionette that used to be my mother, and he's just talking to himself through her and mirroring, who he wants to be through her. So that's the reason why he doesn't want her to work anywhere else. He wants them to be the only two people in the business, no one else, and then they can be together 24/7. So, again, with the control. But that's a little bit off subject. But it is to set up sort of why he is the way he is, and why he does what he does, and who he would like me to be. So as a commercial artist, he has always used his art throughout his entire life, from childhood to now, to garner the attention that he's desired. Everyone, of course, when you see an artist, especially in a small town, and you're kind of looked at as the big fish in a small pond, they're going to be complimented and asked to do this or that. And of course, that feels good. That feels good to anyone. I mean, that's human nature. But when you have someone who's narcissistic, they're going to need that supply, and they're going to need more and more of that as time goes on, like an addict, because that little bitty hit just isn't enough. So you're going to need more. So when he decided that he wanted to have a child, I believe that he wanted to have a smaller version of him that he could, by proxy, have more supply through. And I'm sorry if you can hear my dog snoring in the background. Forgive me. She's really going to town right now. So anyway, he wanted a mini-me, I do believe. That would be an extension of him that he could just, like on a fishing rod, just throw out into the world to make him some more supply, and then reel me in and deprive me, at home. And then, but to the outside world, he could, have his child, whether that's a girl or a boy, whatever, garner that attention for him, and he would have to do half the work. But I think that, like I was talking about before, once I turned a certain age and I started to have my own sense of identity and sense of who I was as a person, and try to set boundaries as any child does, naturally, even at a very early age, he, as I mentioned before, didn't know how to handle that, and decided that I was the enemy, and then become very jealous at the attention that my mother gave to me naturally, as a mother to her child. And so that is where he decided that he would start to manipulate me the other way. Before, it was a lot of talk of, you know what, me and you, we're special. We can control people and make them do things. And we can make them believe us, make them do things for us that other people can't do. And because of this, you're going to be special one day. Really. He said that to me as a young child, I remember. And I remember thinking, what is so special about me? Maybe he's right. Maybe I just don't see it yet. I'm a little kid. I don't know anything. So maybe that's the case. So it went from that to, well, you have no opinion and you're never going to be anything. And you're just lazy. And just, you're a fat, ugly lump of a child. And he would make fun of my weight. He'd make fun of my height. He would say that I looked like, at one time, when I was going through puberty, he said I looked like the porn star Ron Jeremy. Why would you tell your 11 to 13-year-old daughter that they look like a disgusting porn star, let alone that the child has no idea who this person is? And then when they do find out, how horrified that child is. So I think that at that point, he started to groom me more and more to become a source of supply that he could no longer depend on to, like I said earlier, throw out in the world and garner attention through my talents. But he could now have as a punching bag and the scapegoat to show the world what a great parent that he had tried to be, but what a disappointment that I was. And so he began to chip away at my self-esteem, and he would gaslight me, and he would set me up for a lot of different things, making you believe that you were going to get to do something or get to have something, and being a little bit suspicious of the gift or whatever it was, because you know that usually they aren't doing this for you normally, but just being happy at, well, maybe they decided now to be a normal person for once, or to have, maybe they've accepted me now and they love me, and they've, changed their ways, but then ultimately being set up in the end, and being taken advantage of, So it's kind of like when I first moved out of their house, I needed a new car. And he ended up co-signing on a car for me because I had no credit at the time. I just moved out. And he did it, and he was very happy to help me, it seemed. And he really wanted me to, have, the best thing, and to make sure that I was taken care of and that I wasn't taken advantage of. So he wanted to help me in this process. Well, that car ended up being a pair of handcuffs, because that meant that anytime he wanted to, he could throw that in my face. Well, you didn't do as I wanted you to do. So, I helped you to get that car, And when I lost my job during the recession and they had to make some payments on it for me, just a few, I made payments on the car, and look at you, And it's like, things you can't control, they will throw that into your face. Even things that they've done to you and the backlash that kind of yields, like, you're depressed and you don't want to go out and do anything or be social in your 20s because you're so beaten down and you're dealing with the fallout of your childhood, and you're not the kind of person that wants to go out and be, at the bar and being an alcoholic. You're not that kind of addictive personality, but you're still feeling like utter crap because of what's going on. And you don't understand that you have CPTSD. And you don't understand what narcissistic abuse is. You just think that you know that something's wrong and you're suicidal. And they use that against you, saying that you're lazy, that no one's ever going to want to be around you, that, well, you're fat because of that, and you're a woman, that no man is ever going to want you. And being told that over and over again from the time of your childhood, into your 20s. And just side note, first of all, that really makes me mad because what parent in their right mind says that? And what business of your body and what it looks like and what other people will think of it is the business of a father to his daughter. It's a little bit creepy. So that's kind of been weighing on me for a while. Kind of like, what is it that he wanted from me? And it's not what he says. What he says is, I want you to be healthy and happy and successful. And I want you to go out in the world and be independent. But what he really wants is for me to have a dead-end job, to be single, to just go to work and come home and be depressed and eat my feelings and, gain 1,000 pounds and just be a waste of human space. And I'm not saying that being overweight or being fat or whatever is being a waste of space. But in his mind, it is. And so that's what he associates with being a loser, as he would put it. And so he wanted me to stay in the small town, keep to myself, even make a fool of myself, fall on my face. He wanted all of his predictions to come true, that no man would ever want me, that I would be the ugliest, most hideous, fattest thing in the world, and that he could just sit there and tisk, tisk, tisk. I cannot believe, what you've turned out to be, and just get all of his supply by making me feel crappy whenever he wanted to. There are a lot of red flags that I see now that kind of lead to me believing this. And the first one is when I first moved out of state. Before I moved, I had met the guy I'm with, and I've been with for 8 years, that I moved out of state with, on the internet. And at that time, that was kind of unheard of. Like, people, especially in that small town, were like, oh my gosh, this could be a killer. Well, anyway, a long story short, we met online. He ended up coming to see me, and he met them at that time on his little short trip. And then they met again the next time that he came to see me a couple months later. We had only been dating and seen each other twice for about 9 months before we moved in together. And I was debating on whether or not I should really move out of state in such a short amount of time. And my dad was like, oh, you should do it. This is going to be great. Do it. And he was just all for it. And I was like, wouldn't a normal parent kind of, and this is before I knew he was narcissistic, but I was thinking, wouldn't a normal parent who cares about their child be very like, maybe you should wait, maybe you should take things slower, don't jump into things, you don't know who this person really is, and just be very cautious. I was thinking that, but with his confidence, I was like, well, you know what, maybe I should. I believe what he wanted was for me to move out of state, get heartbroken and hurt, and come back, quote unquote, home to the small city with my tail between my legs and never to try it again. So that he could say, I told you so, even though he didn't tell me so. He's told me so, even though he didn't tell me so, on so many things now I can't even count them all. He gaslights and he says, well, you should do this. But then he'll come back around when it failed. See, I told you shouldn't have done that. And you're like, am I in Crazyville? Because this is the exact opposite of what happened. Am I in the upside down from Stranger Things? Because it seems like this is not reality, But that's how they live, and that's what they do. And they'll be right no matter what. So I believe he wanted me to fail and to be, he knew how depressed I was. And so I think he thought that's the tipping point. That's what's going to push her over the edge. And that will be the end of me. And he will finally have destroyed me and broken me down. But guess what? That didn't happen. So good. Yeah. I am happy now. I'm healing. I am learning about myself and my identity and who I am. And I get to be me. I don't have to be him anymore. What he wanted me to be, if he wanted me to be his right hand thumb, I don't have to be that. I get to be me. I get to be the worst daughter of all. So with that, I am going to end this video here. If you like this recording or this video, please leave a like, and I will be making more videos about different topics similar in the future. So thanks for listening. Bye.